All right. Hey guys, it's Tatiana. Thank you for joining me live today. I thought I'd pop on because I have been taking quite a bit of time off and I haven't been posting as much on YouTube because of that. So I thought I'd be able to connect with you, answer some questions, and chat with you a little bit today. So if you have questions for me, you can start asking them. There should be a chat box somewhere. Let me see if you can see me and hear me okay. Please let me know in the chat. And that's great. Awesome. Hello. I see Tashi. Great. Good to see you. Okay, if you're here, let me know your name, where you're from. I always love to do some shout outs and see where everyone's coming in from. Awesome. Okay, who do we have here? We've got April. We've got Lilibeth. Chloe. Great. Launching my first Amazon product today. That's awesome. What an exciting day. Morgan, April, James, Okan, Morgan. Awesome. Giselle. Great. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining. So I'll let you know where I am and just kind of what's been going on with me lately. I'm in Canada. I'm in BC, British Columbia. That's the west coast of Canada. That's where I'm from. And I'm in my hometown. I'm in Langley, British Columbia. And I'm actually staying with my mom in my mom's house. Just because I have spent so much time away from home, away from family, and things just got really extended with coronavirus, not being able to travel. So it's really nice to be home and to be able to be with my family and my friends again. So I've been spending quite a bit of quality time with everyone. And it's been such a privilege to do that. I've taken about 7 weeks off of work. And I would call that the 4-hour work week because it's not 7 full weeks off of work. I do about an hour of work every day, just kind of popping in, answering some emails, doing a little bit of maintenance, checking in on things, but really nothing major, no big projects, not spending, not having 8-hour work days, 15-hour work days. It's been really quite a big break. And so it's been about 7 weeks where I have just been taking time off to just spend and hang out with family and just chill out a bit. And it's been really nice because what I've learned is that, for me, what works for me is to do my business in seasons. So as you know, in Canada, we have different seasons. We've got summer, we've got fall, we've got winter, and we've got spring. And the same thing, I see it with my business. And so I have a season in my business where I work really hard. I grind. I put my head down. I focus. I have those really long work days, 10 hours, 12 hours, sometimes 15 hours. And I'm okay with that because that's the season. And I recognize that. And so what I do is I work like that. I work really hard. I get a lot done in my business. I make major growth in my business. I do what I would usually get done in 6 months or a year, I can get done in 3 months' time. But then that season has an end. It doesn't go on for the whole year because that would lead to burnout. That would just not be sustainable. I would not like my business if that was the case. If I had to work like that all year round, I would be completely drained. And what would I be working for if I don't get to enjoy my time and the luxuries that I get to enjoy now if I am just working all year? So that's one season, but then I also have the season where it's time to slow down. It's taking a break. It's enjoying spending time with family and friends. It's doing things that feed my soul, my body, and just kind of putting work on the back burner. And this is the season where I really recognize that my job, my work, it supports my lifestyle, not the other way around. So often we work, and work is our lives. But I always went into this business of becoming an entrepreneur and starting my own business with the intention of creating a business that can support my lifestyle and not the other way around. But it's very easy to fall into the trap of all you're focused on is work. And it's necessary when you're first getting started. You need to have that phase where you are grinding, you are working harder, putting in the extra hours. You're not complaining, you're just doing what's got to get done. But in my opinion, if you just do that all year round, that is not sustainable. And, that's not really, then you don't have a real business because you are on this, you just have to work nonstop. So that's where I'm at right now. And I want to share that with you because I want to show that, it is a possibility for you. I'm able to take 7 weeks off of work. essentially. And yet I'm still able to get paid while I go sunbathing on the beach, or when I go to when I do my yoga, or when I work out, or when I read a book. Like, that's passive income. And the reason I'm able to receive that income is because I've systematized all of the major functions of my business so that I can take time off and make money while I take time off. And so although it's not 100% passive income, I mean, the only 100% passive income that I'm aware of is investment income. If you have investments that pay dividends or other sorts of investments, you can make passive income with that. That's 100% truly passive. But other than that, this is pretty passive. You know, the fact that if you set up your business in a way where you can take time off and your business is still generating income, maintaining itself or continuing to grow, that's pretty passive. And if you only have to check in maybe an hour a day or a few hours a week, that's pretty passive. So that's what I've created, and it didn't happen overnight. Right? Like, it did not happen overnight. It took me about 5 years to get to this point. But nonetheless, 5 years in comparison to a lifetime is such a small amount of time, and it's 100% worth the work. It's not easy. It's always going to be a challenge. You know, I never said starting a business was easy. It's definitely the hardest thing that I've done because I've had to learn so much along the way. But I'm so grateful for it because in a short period of time, I'm able to create a lifestyle that I just am so blessed every day. I'm really grateful to be able to live this way. And I just want to share that with you guys because it is a possibility for you. If that's what you want, because not everybody wants this, if that's what you want, just know that, you know, you can create it. If Tatiana did it, you can too. It's not like there are some sort of hidden secrets, nothing. Like, I'm trying to share as much as I can with you guys on this channel. It's just like, you just got to do it. You just got to start taking action. You know, if you really want to succeed, the first step is just getting it done, just taking that first step. But most people don't take that first step. And so in order to take that first step, you need to instill the belief in yourself of what is possible for you. And if you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to take any action. So I'm not a motivational speaker here, but I want you guys to know that you can do this if you commit to it and you realize that the journey ahead is going to involve work, it's going to involve resourcefulness, you're going to have to be very conscientious, but you can do it. And so as long as you believe in yourself, you will be then able to take that first step, and just taking one baby step after the next, after the next. It's a slow journey. It took me 5 years, but eventually you'll get to the place where you are in a place where it's like, wow, you know, this is it. This is what I've been working for. And it's only the beginning, right? Things are going to continue to grow. The business will continue to evolve, and you know, the future is bright. So just want to encourage you guys today. I know everyone's coming from a very different place, different backgrounds, different situations, especially with coronavirus and the impacts that it's had on many people, losing your jobs, not being able to put food on the table. You know, different people are struggling with different things right now. And so my heart goes out to you. I love you. I care for you. And I just want to, you know, be as much of a resource as I can for you, whether it's just showing you what's possible or if it's helping you kind of pave the way and show you how to do those things. So having said that, let's dive into questions. I want to answer your questions today because I haven't done a live in a while. So please, anything you want to ask me, I want to be as best as I can to serve you. I don't have all the answers, not claiming that I do, never. I'm always going to be a student, but I will share from my experience. If I know the answer, then I'll give it to you. If I don't, then I tell you that I don't know the answer. All right. So who do we have here today? Let me scroll to the top so I can see the questions. Okay. Great. People from all over the world. It's so amazing how we can just all connect. Really cool. And that's the thing, guys, like you can use social media to just waste hours of your day, which, you know, I'm guilty of that in the past too. I used to spend hours, you know, if you count it up with screen time now, it will tell you, but if you count up all the times that you check your phone, you browse Instagram, you browse Facebook, you go on YouTube and watch a video, that's hours of your day disappearing. When you realize that, it's like, whoa, you know, I could be building a business so that I don't have to work the rest of my life at this job that I don't like. You know, that's what I realized. People sometimes ask me, Tatiana, how do you stay motivated? It's like, I don't need extra motivation. The only motivation I need is knowing that, hey, if I just continue doing what I'm doing, if I just continue working hard and set myself up, I don't have to go back to working the job that I didn't like and working for someone else and building someone else's dream other than my own. Like, I don't need any other motivation than that. That's gonna suffice plenty for me. Sometimes I was talking to a friend a few weeks ago, and she was asking me, she started making more money, and that's great. I was congratulating her. She's working really hard and making great things. She wants to buy her Louis Vuitton and her Prada and her Rolex and all of these things. And I'm like, well, I mean, like, is that the best decision right now? I mean, you're just building your nest right now. Let's like nurture this a little bit more before you go out and spoil yourself. And I believe in reward. I think it's important to reward yourself, and because if you reward yourself, you're going to get a little bit of pleasure from all of the work that you're putting in. But at the same time, saving is extremely important. And she asked me, well, how do you stay motivated to save money when you can go out and you can buy all these nice things? And the way I see it is, I could spend that $3,000 on a Louis Vuitton purse, or I could invest that $3,000 into an investment such as a stock that pays out dividends. And perhaps 10 years from now, 20 years from now, because I'm a long-term value investor, that stock could be worth $10,000. Maybe it can be worth $15,000. Like, I'm thinking really long term. And the way I see it, the sooner that you can start saving money, the better. Those are facts. It's your investments. If you're investing, it doesn't matter how small amount you are investing, it will pay off for you in the future because your investments compound over time. And so the younger that I start doing this, the sooner that I can be free. I'm planning by the time that I'm in my 30s and 40s that I don't need to work another day in my life. I'm set up for the rest of my life because I made smart financial decisions. That when I started making money, I didn't go out and spend it all. I actually saved it and invested it wisely, thinking about my future self, knowing that as an entrepreneur that I need to take care of my own health, my old age, all of those things. And so, it's like that's my motivation is being motivated that in my 40s, that if I don't want to work another day in my life, I don't have to. I can just do the things that I want to do that fill me up, explore the world, enjoy life for what it is, but I don't have to do things because I need to make money. That's setting yourself up. And so that's kind of what I shared with her, and it kind of changed her perspective on saving money because she was looking at the short-term gains of owning all the fancy things instead of seeing the long-term gains of being free. Freedom. For me, freedom, that's like everything. So just wanted to share that with you today. All right, guys, let's dive into some questions here. All right. Ooh, okay. Where do I start? All right, so Nicole says, hey Tatiana, I'm 14 years old and you inspired me to start my own e-commerce business by selling products on Amazon. Hopefully this is the week where I get my sample order and I'm so excited. Love you. Oh, that is so sweet. Thank you so much, Nicole. Good for you at 14 to be watching videos like this, to actually start your own business. Like, girl, you are gonna do so good. To be in that mindset, to be thinking about these things at your age is very mature. You really are thinking long term. And if you're already starting your own business, like, you are a born entrepreneur, and I only see a bright future for you. So that's really amazing. I think that everyone always wishes that they started sooner, but I don't know how much sooner you can start than 14. So good for you. Keep going at it. Keep doing that. I can't wait to hear your success story. All right. I love hearing that. That's amazing. Everyone should congratulate her starting her business. All right. Okay. I wish that there was a little bit of a better system for YouTube, because when I scroll, I lose my spot and then I don't know who I was answering the questions from. So let's see here. So Winnie says, I grinded for 8 months to grow my Amazon business. Now I'm delegating tasks. That's awesome. See, it's like That's what you got to do. Yeah, you got to work hard in the beginning. You got to put in that initial time, that investment. But eventually, like, you don't have to do that for the rest of your life, because that's not owning a business. Then you're still an employee to your business. You eventually want to hire people and delegate and automate and systematize your business so that you can step away from it. That's the goal. You don't want to be tied into your business. You don't want to be the bottleneck of your business, because then your business will never function without you. And that's a dangerous place to be. Okay. Awesome. Seeing so many people saying that they've launched their first products, started their business, started their website. That's really amazing. Good for you guys. So Fabricio says she is actually very transparent. I hate when other gurus try to sell some stupid expensive courses when you can find the same knowledge with passionate people. Keep it up, guys. Thank you. Started watching and just joined ESM under you, and I'm excited but nervous. Can't wait. Awesome. Congratulations. Cool. Okay, I'm going to look for a question. Okay, struggling to decide if I need to buy Jungle Scout or can I launch my first FBA product without that expense? So Diane, to answer your question, you don't need to buy anything. You don't need to buy any tools or software to start your Amazon business, but it is going to help you, right? It's kind of like an accessory, but it's something that can really help you find unique products to sell on Amazon, because the alternative is that you're going to have to go through and search Amazon's database and go through one by one, looking at all the different pages, and it's going to take you a lot of time to go through that. Whereas if you use a software like Jungle Scout, it's going to help you filter all of those things and search through pages a lot faster. So I personally would recommend it. Even if you just want to buy Jungle Scout for a month and then cancel your subscription once you found a product, I would do that, because it really is a helpful tool. I work with a lot of Amazon sellers. I would say like 80% of them use some sort of product research tool when they're first getting started. If you want a discount, you can go, there's a link in the description box, go to tatianajames.com/Jungle Scout. I think it's 30% off your Jungle Scout membership. I can't recall, but it's in the description box below. But yeah, I mean, there are a million tools out there, guys. Like, that's the thing now. When I first started, there weren't that many tools available. Everything was manual, but now it's like everyone sees the opportunity. A lot of people selling on Amazon, so everyone's coming out with their own courses, their own tools. These things didn't exist before, and so I could see why it can be very confusing which tools to choose, but also very costly if you go about buying all of these different things, and you don't need them all. I would suggest like either Jungle Scout or Helium 10. Those are my two favorite when it comes to Amazon softwares and tools. So consider those, but you don't need a whole bunch of things, because otherwise you're spending hundreds of dollars before you even sold a product. You want to make sure that you're very thrifty when you're first starting your business, so you can actually start selling things, make some money, and then with the money that you make, you can start reinvesting back into your business. These things are business expenses. Jungle Scout is a business expense. So that's what I did. Like, I was very conservative with my spending when I first started my business. I really did bootstrap my business, and it served me long term, because it ended up, I ended up being very profitable because I didn't go out and spend so much money on all of these different things. If you want to save time, then yes, these things will certainly help you. And if you have the money to buy them, go for it, because they're going to save you a bunch of time, bunch of stress, but it's not 100% necessary. It's an option. Okay. I think I need to get my computer, because I can't scroll through these comments every time I answer one. I keep on having to scroll all the way back up. All right. Okay, here we go. So Roxana said, you said you worked hard for 5 years to get to where you are. How many hours a week did you roughly work? Okay, so, I would say the first 3 years I worked the hardest. The last couple of years, I have definitely enjoyed myself a lot more. Last year, I traveled to 18 different countries, which was pretty epic. So I definitely took a lot more time off over the last 2 years. So it took me about 3 years to really build the foundation for my business to the point where I could step away from it, take more time off. After about 3 years, I hired the people that I needed to hire for my business to function without me, and had everything kind of set up so that the business would continue to grow without my involvement. After 3 years, the last couple years, it's just been really perfecting things, improving things. There's always something to improve, it just never ends. There's always like a problem here or fire to put out there, or something that's like not great that you could see needs improvement, especially as an entrepreneur. When it's your business, when you own it 100%, you're gonna put in so much more work than someone else who is perhaps an employee or a contractor, because they just wanna kind of do their role in the business. But when you're the business owner, like everything is dependent on you in terms of the results of the business. And so you see all of these things that could be improved. So for me, the last couple of years, it's just been kind of doing those things. And this year in particular, I've been less focused on my e-commerce business, because that has kind of been set up after the first 3 years. And I've been focusing more on my affiliate marketing business and just different streams of income, my investments, things like that. And so, I have that video where I put out my 5 streams of income. So I've been more focused on that the last couple of years, so that I'm diversifying my income streams. So I'm not just dependent on income from e-commerce. I'm not just dependent on income from investments. I'm not just dependent on income from affiliate marketing. There's different forms. And so, that doesn't require as much work. So I've been able to take more time off. I would say in the beginning, I was definitely working like I had weeks where I was working 15 hours a day, every day, 7 days a week. And I loved it. Like I loved doing what I was doing. So the 15 hours flew by because I was enjoying what I was doing. I was excited to be able to create something. And so, yeah, that's how it was in the beginning. But as the years went on, the time was reduced and I worked less. I took more time off. And the way I work now, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I will do like 3 months of the year where I work really, really hard. And I'm like not really socializing with people. I'm just like, my head is down and I'm focused on business. And I get done in 3 months what I would usually get done in 6 months or 9 months, because I'm so focused. My head is down. That's my only priority. But then the rest of the year, I take a lot more time off. So for 3 months, I might do those 15-hour days or 10-hour days. But then the remainder of the year, I'd have, work a few hours a day. So it's very different. It depends on the situation. And really the truth is that I don't really have to put in the hours now. Like I have set up my business where I have the income coming in, where it's semi-passive. And I put in the hours because I love to work. Like I am an entrepreneur at heart and I love what I do. I love to create. So it's a choice. Okay. So Sylvia says, how do you balance your head and your heart, or your intellect and your intuition? Ooh, interesting question. Well, how do I answer that? You know what? I guess I do definitely think about my decisions. I would say that I don't want to boast, but I would say that I make pretty good decisions because I really think about them. Like in the past, I used to be much more kind of compulsive and just kind of did what I wanted to do whenever I wanted to do it. But now I really think of my decisions of the short-term gains, but the long-term benefits, or the short-term ramifications, long-term ramifications. I really think about those things. So I would say that, of course you want to lead with your heart. Like the decisions I make, my heart has to be there. If my heart isn't in it, then I'm not going to go with it. but I don't just use my heart. If I just like went where my heart went, I would be a mess, Emotionally, I would be all over the place because I have a big heart. I have a lot of compassion. I want to help people, but you also have to use, what's logical, what makes sense. And that's how you're going to have structure in your life and you're going to know what to do next. And so I would say that the decisions I make, the heart has to be there. I have to believe in it. Things that for example, collaborations, things that I recommend, sponsorships, like I have to feel it. My heart has to be there, but it also has to intellectually make sense. Numbers have to add up. It has to be the right time in the life. Like there's a lot of different things to consider. So I definitely do think long and hard about all decisions in my life. And that actually helps me to make better decisions because I'm thinking about them as thoroughly as I possibly can. And I don't mind taking my time to make a decision. If someone asks me, I have to make a decision about something really important and they say, I need an answer right now, I don't have to give them an answer right now. I will take my time to go home and I will think about it. I have no problem saying that. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, so Chantel says, sometimes I feel like I'm too old to start anything because I want to be able to enjoy the fruit of the work at a young age, the rewards. So by the time I can feel like I'm too old, I'm 21. Chantel, if you're 21, you've got your whole life ahead of you. I don't know what you're talking about with you feel like you're too old. Most people don't start their own businesses until they're in their 30s. Most people in their 20s are still figuring out life, enjoying life, traveling the world. It's not until people get into their 30s usually where they're like, oh yeah, like I gotta have a career for myself. Let's start getting the show on the road. You've got a long journey ahead of you, and especially if you decide to take the path of entrepreneurship where you're building your own business, it can grow so fast. And like I said, 5 years, it took me 5 years to get to this place. From 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I was 5 years ago, I was a waitress at a restaurant and I was serving people and I hated that job. I had to wear high heels and I got stupid comments from guys who were drunk, and it was like such a dark energy, and I did not want to be doing that for work. And that was 5 years ago, and my life has completely changed. It's done a 360, it's done a 180, and 5 years is such a short amount of time. 5 years is gonna pass. Whether you like it or not, the days will go by. Look how fast summer has gone by. I'm like, what the heck? Summer's almost over. The time flies. And in 5 years, you can completely change your life around and you can be enjoying the fruits of your labor just as I am today. So you're certainly young and you're capable and you've got your whole life ahead of you. So there's no reason to feel like that. Okay. Hi, Tatiana. Oh, someone named Tatiana as well. I'm currently in Colombia. Is it harder to start Amazon FBA from countries that are not principal, like US, Europe, or Canada? Yes. So Amazon, if you decide to sell on Amazon, it has a number of countries, a large amount of countries that it accepts to sell on their platform. Now, it depends on which marketplace you wish to sell. If you want to sell in the US or Germany or Canada, they're all different marketplaces and they accept different countries to sell in them. And if you're in Colombia, I don't know specifically about Colombia if you can sell in the US, but if you're not on Amazon's list, it makes it harder for you to sell in the US. You can still get around it. It's just going to be a little bit more difficult for you. And so the way that you find out if your country is accepted for seller registration is you Google it. Go to Google and type in Amazon countries accepted for seller registration. And you'll probably want to sell in the US since it's the biggest marketplace. So you can pull up the one for Amazon.com and you'll see that there's a huge list. And if your country's on that list, great. If your country's not on the list, or if it's on the list of countries not allowed to sell, then it becomes a little bit harder. So you might be in a country that is allowed to sell on Amazon, but you're not allowed to link your bank account, which just means that you would use a third-party bank account, like an online bank account like World First or Payoneer. And in that case, that's pretty easy to set up. Actually, I do have a video about this. You can go to my YouTube channel and there's a search box, and in the search box type in sell on Amazon internationally or international. And there's a video that I did a few months ago where I talked about how you can sell on Amazon.com if you don't live in the US. So it's pretty simple. If you don't live in the US, you don't have to live in the US. I'm from Canada and I sell in the US. And how to set up your seller account as someone who doesn't live in the US. And if your country is like not allowed to sell on Amazon, then it becomes a lot harder, because the option is then you would have to like open up an entity in the US and an account in the US, and it just becomes a lot more work, and you have to decide if you want to go through that process. It's going to involve more money to set that up and also more time, and so you have to decide if you are willing to put in that effort. But there are ways around it. I know people who are in countries that are not allowed to sell in the US and who have successfully built businesses with Amazon US. They've just gone through the roundabout. But I believe, I'm not sure about Colombia. You'll have to check that. Okay, let's try this one. What do you think about Shopify? I don't know much about e-commerce, and also which one is better to start for beginner, Amazon or Shopify? So Caleb, that's a great question. I do have a video on this channel about that, and the reason why I want to tell you that is because that video will go more in depth about that subject, and I think it's worth watching if that's your question. My recommendation is to start on Amazon. Amazon is a wonderful platform. Millions and millions of people trust Amazon, especially in the US. It's the world's largest online retailer. And so when you sell on Amazon, you partner with Amazon. And because you're selling on Amazon, customers, they buy from you, not because of you, but because they trust Amazon's platform. They've signed up for Amazon, they have their bank information, their shipping information already registered on Amazon. Many people have Prime, which is 2-day shipping, and so they're subscribed to that. And so they trust the Amazon platform. And so by selling on Amazon, you are partnered with them, and that trust is extended to you. And so when your product's on Amazon, they can reach millions potentially of people. And so your sales, it's much easier to generate sales when you're selling on Amazon versus if you're starting on your own website on Shopify, it's going to be a lot harder for you to get sales, to get those initial customers. The reason being is because that's going to be 100% dependent on how good you are at marketing your website. If you sell on Shopify, all you have is your domain name, is your website. And so if your website is funnypets.com and you're selling pet products, you've got to do a lot of marketing on Facebook using kind of paid ads, social media. You've got to do whatever you can to get people to your website. And that can be a challenge versus if you're on Amazon, you set up a listing and then it's very easy for you to reach customers. First of all, your listing is going to show up in Amazon's search engine. So you're going to show up on page 5 or 10 or 15. And so if a customer is organically browsing through Amazon, searching for something specific, they go through pages, they can land on your product page and they can discover your product just like that. And you have the benefit of turning on Amazon PPC, pay-per-click advertising. So if you're on page 10 for your keyword, you can turn on your Amazon advertising and you can be on page 1 and your listing will show up on page 1. And then thousands of people will come across your listing and potentially click on your listing. And after they click on it, they can buy your product. So the likelihood of you having increased sales is higher on Amazon than it is on Shopify when you're just starting out. You're a no-name brand. Nobody knows who you are, what you're selling. If you're already an existing brand, you've got a big brand name, then selling on Shopify is better for you because you're going to save money. It's going to be less pricey. You're going to be more in control of your marketing, and people are going to be searching for your brand on Google, and so they can find you on your website. But if you're just starting out, if you're brand new, you got to start on Amazon. Otherwise, it's going to be so much harder. Eventually, once you start making consistent sales, you can move from selling just on Amazon to also selling on Shopify. But I wouldn't do the other way around. That's going to be very, very challenging. Amazon gives us this opportunity. Like, I would not have built my business had I not had the privilege of selling on Amazon. It is a privilege, and they allow us, like third-party sellers, to use their platform and to give us access to their customers. They're their customers, not ours. So it's a huge opportunity. Genevieve says, I turned 30 a week ago. Happy birthday. And I'm just starting with Amazon FBA. I'm so amazed by all the younger peeps jumping in on this. You're all going to do so well. I agree. Okay. Okay, so I'm seeing a few questions about where I can find entrepreneurial friends. I would say the best place is by going to events. And right now, all of that is on pause because of the current pandemic, but hopefully eventually we can go back to normal life. I would say that going to events is probably the best place. It's the place where I've met really incredible people, like-minded individuals. For example, an event that I go to every year is SellerCon. And SellerCon is hosted by the Amazing Selling Machine, which is a course that teaches you how to do Amazon FBA. And SellerCon is jam-packed with people who specifically sell on Amazon. And so if you go to an event like that, you're gonna meet hundreds of people who are also selling on Amazon. So you already know that you have something in common. Like, you both sell on Amazon, you both share the interest of entrepreneurship, you probably have lots to talk about. And so that's a really wonderful place to meet people who are like-minded that you could potentially become great friends with. Other events too, Traffic and Conversion Summit, that's like a huge marketing event every year that I usually go to with my partner, Stefan. Like even meetups, if you go to a meetup for entrepreneurs, I know in Venice, California, if you go to, like, for example, Bulletproof Coffee, that's a coffee shop in Venice Beach, California, you go there and you sit with your computer and you get a coffee and you do your work. Like, you're going to be sitting with like 10 other people who have online businesses. I go there sometimes and I'm sitting and everyone's so interesting. Everyone wants to talk to you and everyone's got their own business, and it's very interesting to meet people that way. So you really just got to get out of the house and go to events, socialize, kind of push your comfort zone to go by yourself too. If you just go with your own friends, it can be harder to meet people. If you go alone, it can be easier to meet people. It's going to be a bit more awkward possibly if you're more, what's the word I'm looking for? Can't remember the word I'm looking for. What's the word I'm looking for? I know this word. The opposite of, okay, whatever, it'll come to me. Anyways, that's the best. Introverted, yes, thank you, introverted. I'm more of an introvert, believe it or not, I'm an introvert. And so I have to turn on a different part of me when I go to events like that. For example, SellerCon, when I go to SellerCon, oftentimes we do a big meetup. and we go and we meet with all of the people who have purchased the Amazing Sewing Machine course through us, and we do a meet and greet, and it's super awesome, and I love getting to meet everyone that way. And it's usually very long, like 4 hours of just meeting people and hanging out with people and talking to people. But because I'm an introvert, I've got to turn on a different part of myself that's like extroverted so that I can go out and meet people and push myself to do that and enjoy that. So yeah, it's you know, if you're introverted, you just got to push yourself to go out and do those things and go to events and socialize and go by yourself. And that's the best way to do it. Okay, let's do another question. I see all of your beautiful comments. Thank you so much. I'm not going to read them out loud, but I will definitely read them later. Okay. So Mahir says, Tatiana, I'm a college student who wants to start her own Amazon business. Can you explain to me how I can balance school life and business life? That's wonderful. You know, most people who start an Amazon business start it while they are working full-time. So they have a full-time job, or like yourself, are in school full-time. Most people who start this business don't just have the whole day free where they can just spend all these hours working on their business. They actually have work to go and do. And so it's important to know that. So if you think that, oh, I can't start this business because I already have a full-time job or I'm in school full-time, that is not true at all. You don't need 8 hours a day to build this business, especially when you're first starting to sell on Amazon. You know, there's a lot of waiting around. And so you need, like, if you can commit a couple hours per day, 2 hours per day, that's more than enough time. If you do 2 hours per day, 7 days a week, that's more than enough time to build this business. And I know you can do it. You know, if you just cut out the time that you browse, you know, your Instagram or whatever it is that you do on your phone or your video games or even hanging out with friends, like if you've got to cut back on your social life a little bit to build your dream, to build your future, do it. So, you know, 2 hours a day is not much to ask for. We can all find the time. We can create the time. If you've got to wake up 2 hours earlier per day, if you've got to go to bed 2 hours earlier per night, it is worth it. It is your future. So yeah, that's all you need, because, you know, in the beginning, it's just like you're just trying to find your product to sell. And then you start doing your branding, you find your suppliers, you get your samples, you wait to get you receive your samples, you decide on your manufacturer, you place your order. Your manufacturer takes 30 days to process your order. You work on your branding with your brand, your social media, you set up your Amazon listing, and then you ship your products to Amazon, and then you start to optimize and you do your Amazon launch, and then you do your pay-per-click marketing. Like, there are different steps through the business, but you don't need necessarily more than 2 hours per day. The more time that you have, the better, right? Because obviously the more time that you can dedicate to something, the more you're going to be able to grow it at a faster rate. But you don't believe the misconception that you need 5 hours a day, 8 hours a day to build this business. If you believe that, then you're never going to start, because who has that time? We all have to make a living, and we all have careers and businesses. So I started this business while I was in college or university. I was still in university. I was, I think when I started, I was full-time in university the first year that I started, and I was working as a waitress to pay my tuition, because I got to pay my tuition. And then as the days, like, you know, I launched my first product. I did that perfectly fine while being in school and working. Like, I found the time to do that. But as the business started to grow, I started to realize that, hey, has a lot of potential. And I realized that, hey, if I just put a little bit more time to my business, if I water the seed a little bit more, it can grow stronger. And so at one point, finally, I decided to take a semester off of university. And so I said, okay, I'm not going to quit university. I'm just going to take a semester off to see that, let's just test it out. If I put more time into my business, will my business grow? And so I gave myself a timeline and I said, I got to make this happen. If I don't make this happen, then I'm going back to school next semester. And so because I put my back up against the wall like that and I gave myself a deadline, I worked really hard, and sure enough, the business grew. And it grew so much that I didn't go back to school because I thought, you know what, like, why should I go back to school? I'm making more money with this business than I'm going to make if I graduate and get the dream job that I want to get. And so that's how I approached it. And so you don't have to take these big leaps like, oh, I'm going to start my business. Oh, I'm going to quit school. You don't have to do that. That's totally unnecessary. Just start a little bit at a time. Get a course that's going to help guide you. If you don't have the time to go and browse YouTube and Google and figure it all out yourself, if you want a beautiful packaged process step by step, that's what a course is. So that's going to save you time. And then you just follow it and just do it 2 hours a day, and it will slowly grow. Okay. Okay, let's see here. So when I'm looking for questions, I'm trying to find questions that are going to be most relevant to most people. I want to try and answer all of them, but of course can't do that or I will be here for 3 hours. So let's see here. Do you think that 16 is too young to start an FBA business? Or do you suggest I wait a few years until I'm older and simply learn and research for now? You know, if you want my opinion, which is not worth much, it's just my opinion, I would say go for it. You know, like everything that I learned in business, I learned through experience, not through studying a textbook or reading a document or watching videos. I literally just learned from doing. And doing it that way, yes, I made a lot of mistakes, but I actually got shit done. I just didn't sit around learning and learning and learning, but not taking any action. Wisdom is not enough. Wisdom with action is what creates success. And so I would suggest to start doing, just wherever you are. It doesn't matter how old you are, 16 or 60. Just start, get your foot in the game. Get in there and start doing things. And yes, you wanna learn, but you wanna take action as you wanna implement what you're learning. So if you just keep consuming materials, going to seminar after seminar, reading books, watching videos, like that's just wisdom that's stored up here. You've got to actually implement it. And so I believe that it's through my experience that I was able to really learn and acquire all this knowledge, not through just by consuming content and learning like that. So I would say go for it. Just start small. You know, you don't have to make a major investment because yes, you are young, you still have a lot to learn, but the younger you are, that's great. You're getting a huge advantage with your age by starting early. And, you know, just start small. You know, you don't have to take out a loan to start your business. Just invest maybe a few $100s, work a little bit more during the summertime so that you can save some money to invest in your business. And then start with that. Start small and then just learn from that experience. It doesn't matter how small you start, you're still going to have an experience. And so even if you start with a $300, you're going to be able to gain a tremendous amount of experience, the same as if you were to start with $6,000. So go for it. Okay. Have you ever heard of the concept of reading fast to gain more knowledge, to read an entire book or multiple books a day? Yes, I have. So that's speed reading, and I have actually researched that, and I was at one point going to take a speed reading course because I thought, wow, like this is a great way for me to read more books and consume more because I love to read. But what I realized, it depends on the content. It depends on what book you're reading. There are some books where you've got to read it line by line, and you've got to make sure that you're understanding each and every paragraph. And if you just speed read it, you're not going to do the book justice, and you're not going to absorb the quality, the information that's in front of you. And so I think it just depends on what you're reading. And so there are some books that I do speed read, especially considering that most books, the juice of the book is the first half of the book. That's where the most like valuable pieces of, in terms of like nonfiction books, the first half of the book is usually the juiciest part where the most valuable information is. The second half tends to not have as much high quality content, and oftentimes it's because when it comes to writing books, authors, they want to have their books as a certain length, certain number of pages, and so sometimes they kind of fill it with these kind of fillers, extra stuff, extra examples. And so sometimes the best part is the beginning. So sometimes like I'll read really thoroughly the beginning of the book, and then I start to realize, oh, this, the rest of the book is not as valuable, and so I'll speed read the rest of it. But yeah, I think it really just depends on what it is that you're reading. I mean, you wouldn't really want to do that with a fiction book, because the point of reading a fiction book is to enjoy yourself and to read the story. And so speed reading it is it's kind of counterintuitive. So Ashlyn says, how do you deal with feeling overwhelmed by all the things you needed to do at the start? How did you stop yourself from comparing your business to others? Okay, great question. Yeah, you know what? Well, so in the beginning, when I was starting my business, I wasn't really following people on YouTube, or like I wasn't following people in this industry. When I was starting, I don't know if it's because I just didn't use YouTube. I really never used YouTube, or like the only thing that I really used on the computer was Facebook and a little bit of Instagram, but I never really like followed anyone. So I just kind of had my head down, and I took the course, the Amazing Slime Machine course, and it was plenty. Like it was more than enough, and I just followed it step by step, and I didn't really consume any other information. I didn't really consume any other courses at the time, and didn't follow any other people who were giving me conflicting information. I just followed the course and just did it step by step. And so that's why I rave about this course, because for me, it was amazing, because it just told me what to do. Like I didn't know what to do. I was just starting out. I never owned my own business. Wasn't even in school for business. I was studying political science, totally different. And so as someone who has no experience in business, to be handed a guide to teach me exactly what to do was super valuable. And so I just did what I was told to do and worked a couple hours per day, and that was it. And so I wasn't overwhelmed. Yes, I worked really hard because I was going to school, I was working, and I was building this business. So all hours of the day were used. I did not really have a social life for many years. My friends did not see me for quite some time, but I was totally willing to do that because I was very excited about what I could create. And so no, I wasn't overwhelmed. I had a clear path. The course provided me with direction. It told me if you just do this and this and this, then these are the results. And I trusted it. I believed it. And I just listened to what I was told to do. And so that was that. And that was a really great way to start. In terms of comparing myself to others, again, I didn't really follow anybody else. And I don't know if it's because there weren't people who talked about selling on Amazon on YouTube. It might just have been because I never really used YouTube. So yeah, it was never really an issue for me. I just kind of like did my work, went to school, went to my job, hung out with my boyfriend, and that was my life. I did not have much of an online life other than working on my business. And you know what? Sometimes that's better. You don't have to follow everyone, especially since a lot of people can confuse you since they have conflicting opinions and different information. You can just find a few people that you like and trust and stick to them, and that's great. You know, you got to trust yourself too, and trust your own judgment, and not just be a follower of someone and follow everything that they say. You also have to be able to make your own decisions and and realize that you have the capacity to do that, even though you are just starting the business. Okay, I think, I'm not sure about YouTube, but I think Instagram turns you off after an hour. No, I think YouTube doesn't turn you off after an hour. By the way, guys, if you follow me on Instagram, I do a lot of live, well, not a lot, but I do a lot more live videos than I do here, and I answer questions on Instagram. So if you want me to answer your questions if I didn't get to you here, definitely give me a follow on Instagram and turn on the notifications, because then you can catch me live, and there are a lot fewer people on the live streams on Instagram, so chance that I'll see your question is a lot higher, or that I'll answer it. Okay, so Pierre says, can you address the updated 200 max quantity limit on new products on Amazon, please? Yes, so if you are a brand new seller, you set up your Amazon account and you want to send your inventory to the Amazon warehouse because you're going to be shipping with Amazon FBA, then you do have a storage limit. So if you're going to use Amazon's warehouse, you can only send them 200 units. And the quantity of units does depend on the category that you're selling in, I believe. So it's not necessarily going to be 200 units for everyone. It depends. I think it depends. So if you're only allowed to store 200 units at the warehouse, then the issue is that if you're going to place an order with your supplier, you're likely going to place an order of more than 200 units. There's something called an MOQ, minimum order quantity. Each supplier determines what their MOQ is, and they will tell you what their MOQ is. And based on their MOQ, you have to decide on how many units you're going to order. If the supplier's MOQ is 500 units, that means that you have to order a minimum of 500 units. Now, the predicament is that if you have to order 500 units, but you can only send 200 units to the Amazon warehouse, then how do you do that? And the solution is that the remaining 300 units, you can ship the whole inventory to the US if you're selling in the US. And then what you would do is you would ship 200 units to the Amazon warehouse, and the remaining 300 units, you could either send them to your house if you live in the US and you can just store them there, or you could send them to a third-party warehouse or a fulfillment center. And so then what you would do is, as you start to run out of stock on Amazon, it goes from 200 units to 100 units because you sold 100 units, then you can send Amazon the remaining. You can slowly replenish that inventory from the inventory stores at your house or the warehouse. So that's what you have to do. It's a little bit of a pain in the neck, but it's kind of what you have to do if you're a new seller. And they're doing that because they want to limit new sellers, because everyone wants to open up a Seller Central account. And so they have to put some limits on sellers. But as you gain more experience with selling on Amazon, as you have better seller metrics, your inventory limits will increase. So for me, with my Amazon account, I don't have limits. So I can send as much inventory as I want to the Amazon warehouse. And that's simply because I've been selling on Amazon for a number of years now, and because I have good seller metrics. And the seller metrics are like your performance. How are people rating you on Amazon, your customers? That all gets taken into account when they review your account to see if they want to give you larger store inventory limits. Okay. And sometimes you might even consider placing a larger order with your supplier. So for example, because Q4 is coming up, the fourth quarter of the year, that's a big year for people who sell online, because you've got Black Friday, Cyber Monday, you've got Christmas. There are a lot of sales that go on during the fourth quarter, and your sales will typically increase by 20 to 30%. For most sellers. So it's like a great time of the year. And so, if you're preparing for Q4, you might want to place a larger than usual order, because you have to take into account that your suppliers are going to be busier, that they're going to take longer to manufacture your orders, that shipping times are going to take longer, that shipping is going to be costlier. And also with the pandemic, already, like everything is delayed in terms of shipping times. So you really want to take into all of that into account. And so you may want to place an even larger order with your supplier. And in that case, again, you would just ship 200 units to the Amazon warehouse and just store the remaining units. And so if you have like really big products that you're selling, that's going to be hard. That's why, like, if you're a new seller, you want to sell something small and simple and lightweight, because it's going to be cheaper to ship and it's going to be cheaper to store. The bigger and the bulkier and the heavier product, the more it's going to cost, of course. Okay. Do you have higher purposes to make new businesses, to open startups? So if you're asking if I want to start new businesses, what I'm focused more on, I'm learning more about investing in different businesses. So, it's a lot of work to start your own business. Like I'm not shy about saying that it's a lot of work. Like, brace yourself. It's totally worth it, but you're going to have to put in the work. So now that I've already done that, and I've made good money from that, what I'm interested in doing is, instead of starting from scratch my own business, I actually am looking at investing in existing businesses. So becoming an investor in different businesses. So that way I don't have to start something from scratch. I can go and look for companies that are, either just getting started or already have built something good. They have a good business plan, a good product, good marketing. And if it's something that, again, I want to lead with my heart. If it's something that I resonate with, that I would love, then I want to be an investor in that business. And of course, the books have to make sense. Like, they need to be financially doing well as well, and all of that stuff. But then I can become an investor in that business, and I can own part of that business. And so that's more the direction that I'm heading now, is I'm trying to use the money that I've made to create more money. I want my money to work for me. And so not only can I invest in the stock market or in real estate, but I can also invest into other businesses. And that's great for me, and it's great for them, because then they get extra capital to build their business, and I get to own a part of that business. And I can be as involved if I want. It depends on what the relationship is. Maybe I'm involved in the business and I'm building the business with them, or I could just be kind of an angel investor and just they take the money and I still own part of the business, but I'm not involved in the business. So there are different options with that. So that's what I'm learning more about now, and I want to start doing. And I have like a lot of businesses that, like, different products that I'd want to sell on Amazon that I'm interested in, that I like these products, I use these products, I would love to market these products, but I don't necessarily want to start the business from scratch. And so I can look for different businesses on Amazon that are doing well, and I can approach them and say, hey, like, do you want an investor? Do you need some extra capital? Do you want a business partner? And so those are always options, which is, so that's kind of what I'm looking at now. But of course, like, it's, you have to do your due diligence when you're an investor in a company. It's a long process. They've got to show you their books, and you've got to really make sure that you know what it is that you're investing in. All right, I will be wrapping up in a little bit here. I'll answer a few more questions. So Gwendolyn says, what would you recommend to someone who is working on getting out of debt before they start their business? Thinking of what I should do in the meantime before I start on Amazon. Well, I think that, debt is definitely a killer. Debt will weigh you down, especially if it's credit card debt with the highest interest rates. That's no fun. It depends. Like if debt, like there's some debt that's good. There's good debt and there's bad debt. Robert Kiyosaki talks a lot about that. For example, if you have a mortgage, that can be considered good debt. So you don't necessarily have to pay down your mortgage before you start your business. It actually might be more beneficial to start your business and slowly pay off your mortgage. But if you have like credit card debt or student loans or things like that, like you want to pay that off because those will weigh you down. So I would say like if that's your focus, for me, just do whatever you can to make the money to pay that debt off as soon as possible. And so that might mean like getting a second job or doing something on the side. So Uber, for example, is a great option. Delivery services, whether you're on a bicycle or you're driving, those are great ways to make some extra cash. So aside from your day job, doing something extra so you can make enough money so you can pay that off faster, because the faster you can pay that off, the faster you can start your new life, free from debt, free from the chains of debt that pull you back from doing other things. So personally, like that would be my priority, is like, how can I make more money right now? And right now I do have to trade my time for money, because that's the way that you have that guaranteed money. But eventually, like that, once you pay that off, then you can start to build your own business, and then you no longer have to trade your time for money. So yeah, and then aside from that, it's just continuing to learn and read books. And, I think books are phenomenal. There are a lot of books on entrepreneurship. If you go to tatianajames.com/book list, I believe, or it should be in the description of this video. I think it's tatianajames.com/book list. Those are all my favorite books. So if you want to know the books that I like to read, I have a lot of books on business in there, books on spirituality, relationships. Even I recommend an audio series from Tony Robbins. Definitely recommend it. Check that out, because books is like, it's so powerful to read a book. Someone spends their whole life acquiring this information and then putting it into a book, and you can just consume this in a matter of hours and learn so much. And so it's one of the best ways to grow and develop as a person, by learning from different people's perspectives and experiences and belief systems. And then with all of that, deciding, what do you believe and what resonates with you. And it gives you different resources. And because we all, we're limited to our own experience in life, but when we can learn from the experience of others, that just makes life so much richer, and we can gain so much more from that. So yeah, but also remember that knowledge without action is, just wisdom, but you really got to take action if you want to see results. Okay, one more question here. Okay, are you still offering your bonuses with the Amazing Selling Machine? So I do have a bonus package that's available. ASM 12 was launched a few months ago, and during ASM 12 I offered coaching, and that's something that I'm not offering anymore, because that was just for the launch phase, so for the ASM students who just signed up during that period of time. And that was great. So I got hundreds of awesome students who were doing monthly or weekly group coaching calls with, and it's really amazing. These group coaching calls, they are 3 hours long. We're jam-packed. Stefan and I are doing them together, and we are just like nonstop Q&A about Amazon. So they're really, really rich, high value, high quality content coaching calls. So those are for the ASM 12 students. But if you do decide to sign up for Amazing Selling Machine today, the 12th version of the course is still available. My bonuses are a little bit different. You get all of my bonuses, except you don't get the email coaching with me. And instead of live group coaching with me, you're going to get the recordings from the ASM 12 group. So I'm only doing the lives with them because that was offered for a short period of time, and you'll get the recordings from that. But nonetheless, the recordings are, you're getting 24 hours of video content, of Q&A from me, all about Amazon. So it's really, really good. So you can go to tatianajames.com/ASM bonuses. Should be linked in the description of this video too. And that's where you can learn more about everything that you'll get. Okay, so there's one more question that I wanted to answer aside from that, which was, Odessa, is it possible to start up an Amazon business with $300 and have as lucrative and profitable a business as you would have you started with $5,000? So the more money that you can invest into the business, the better. Because of course the money is going to afford you maybe a different type of product, a product that costs more rather than a product that costs less. So here's the thing, is that you can start this business with less money. You can. It will limit you though. You're gonna have limitations that people who have more money to put into the business won't necessarily have. Some of those limitations will be the product selection. So what products you can actually move forward with and sell on Amazon. If you have less money to invest, then you have to be very aware of which products you can actually afford to purchase from the manufacturer. So for example, when I first started, because I had such a small budget, I was limited with what products I could sell. And so although I had created an awesome product list, I had lots of cool products that I wanted to sell on Amazon, products that I had more interest in, more passion for, but of those products, there was only a few products who were within my price range. And so I landed on selling the cognac sponge, which was my first product, because that was the cheapest product that I found to be a viable product to sell on Amazon. And so it was 20 cents a unit. So I was able to start my business with less money, but the product was 20 cents a unit and the selling price was about $10. So I was limited because somebody else who had, more money than me, say $5,000, they were able to start with a product that may be selling for $20 or selling for $30, and they're paying $7 a unit for it. So they could make more profit than me because they had more money to start with. But nonetheless, I got started. Like, start with what you can, because you can still build your business. So with my first product, I didn't make a ton of money from it, but I learned, right? The experience that you get from that. It's the same experience that you're going to get if you're someone starting with $5,000, because you have to go through the same steps as the person who has more money. So although yes, they might make more profit than you, they're going through the same experience, and that experience is what's the most valuable thing. Because once you do it once, you take that, you extract it, you do it again. Selling on Amazon is a process. That's why there are so many courses, because it's a step-by-step process. People have dissected, what it takes, the steps to success on Amazon, and have put it together in these courses, because they can tell you that if you do this, this, and this, that's going to help you succeed. Now, of course, there's you are a big component of your success, and you're the one who's going to either tip you in the direction of success or the direction of failure, but nonetheless, there is a proven process. So that's something you have to consider. Another thing is that if you have more money, you're going to have more money to spend on marketing your product. So someone who has more money can spend more money on advertising, and therefore they can reach more people and have more sales than you. But again, so yes, the experience will be different, but you can still get started. All right, guys, I think that's all for today. Thank you for tuning in. I will be doing some lives on Instagram, so if you want to go ahead and follow me there, if you want to catch me for live, my Instagram is TatianaJames26. Other than that, I will see you guys in the next YouTube video. Again, I'm not doing as many YouTube videos because I'm taking time off, so I'm just doing about one per week, but bear with me. Later this year, I'm going to get back in the game. I'm going to be spending my winter in Hawaii. So in Hawaii, I'm going to definitely be recording more videos and getting inspired again and talking more about business and all that. So hope you can join me, and thanks for watching, guys. Bye.